capos and 100 fucking dimes. Call a slaughter gang, you get your shit popped. Takeover with a drum, the bitch ain't never go stop. We on that night war shit.
Welcome Miss Nikki from Nikki's Magic Wand. How are you today?
I'm doing so good. How are you?
That's good. I'm doing great. I'm actually doing a lot better now that I get to talk and chop it up with you.
Yes, and you look beautiful.
Oh, thank you. You as well. I did something different
Thank
to
you.
my hair. So yeah, well, that's a whole nother conversation.
I like it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
So tell me about, how about if you introduce yourself and tell me about Nikki's Magic Wand?
Sure. Okay, so I am Nicole Narvaez-Lewis, and I am the inventor of Nikki's Magic Wand. I am the founder of the business. And so basically, give you a little bit of background, born and raised in Philadelphia, came to Pittsburgh to attend the University of Pittsburgh and ended up staying. Started to build my career in compliance, specifically in human resources. So used to work for the federal government, and then after a number of years decided to switch over to corporate. So
Okay.
I've been with corporate for the last 11 years. I'm a senior VP in human resources in corporate America.
Okay.
And back in 2009, I was driving down the street. I had just bought a lip gloss about 2 weeks prior. And you know how there's always a little bit around the neck of the gloss and a little bit around the bottom. And that's strategic, right? They
Yes.
make that wand, is actually what it's called, stop very short of the bottom. It never touches the bottom. So it's always like they're always trying to get you to go back and buy more, but it had only been 2 weeks and I was annoyed.
Yep.
Yeah. So happened to be on the phone with my best friend from college, and she was in Atlanta at the time, and I was telling her, I was like, ugh, I'm so annoyed. I should invent something to get this out. And in that moment, she said, you should. And it's called Nikki's Magic Wand. Because she was just think, yes, yeah, I don't know if you ever knew that. But
No,
yeah,
wow.
yes, in that second, she said, you should invent it and it should be called Nikki's Magic Wand.
Oh,
Um, yes. And so I was like, huh. And I had never, really had any creative aspirations in that way before. I did have an idea for one other thing. It's in my book.
okay.
So if you get my second book, you'll find out what I tried to invent before.
Okay.
But I went home, I kind of sketched it up, and so began that process of creating it, creating something that did not exist.
Wow.
And that was December of 2009. So like 3 years later, December of 2012, officially launched after, getting prototypes made and business attorneys and patent attorneys and all
The
that stuff. And
stuff, just all the
yes,
stuff. Oh my,
yes.
so I didn't realize that you actually drew out the wand. That is amazing. So how did, like, what made you say this is exact, just because of how you thought about sticking it into the tube? That's how you like
Mhm.
you physically drew it out. You didn't say, hey, I want this concept, I need you to draw it. You actually sat down and drew it.
Well, it's funny that you should say that because actually my original design was like a pin. So it was like a pin that you depress and it would come out, and then my idea was that it would feed back into itself so that it was portable. So that was my original design. That's what I had in my mind for it. And then as I was starting to look for someone to make a prototype, someone said, you need to get with a design consultant because they
Mm.
are the people who are going to tell you what it should be made out of, what kind of plastic, how bendable, what should the tip be, what. And so I found so this one factory I called in PA suggested the name of a design consultant. I still have never met him in person, but I sent him my drawing and I also sent him some half empty tubes.
Okay.
And I said, this is what we're trying to solve for. And he actually ultimately came up with the design. I knew I wanted a cap. So, but we got rid of the ballpoint pen deal because we figured it could get stuck. When
Right.
it retracts into itself, all the gunk is on there. So yeah, so he is trained in that. He doesn't own any of it. That's his role. You pay him to design. And he designed it. And then he was the one that went out and got the prototypes, got the quotes for manufacturing, the quotes for the molds. Yeah.
So
So
note,
that's
like
how that
note,
went.
if you want to create something, make sure you get a design consultant. That is a,
Design consultant.
like that is, but I still think that it's so amazing that it's something that you actually went home and drew out and had an idea of what it is that you wanted. If you had to
Yes.
name give 3 words on how to
Mm.
describe your brand, what would that be?
Oh, 3 words to describe my brand:
To,
savvy,
mm-hmm.
um, savings,
Yes.
and glamour.
Okay, yes. I love
Yeah.
all of those. And I think the thing that sticks out the most when I do research when it comes to savings is a lot of people is the word savings, because a lot of people say how much it has saved them in product. And I don't think that
Yes.
people understand how much product goes to waste, because that was me. I'm like, all right, especially remember back in the day with the matte glosses?
Oh my gosh. Yes. First of all, they started off shorter to begin with, right?
Listen.
Yes. And then it was just you found yourself whipping through them because they were shorter. And back then we were wearing them every day. We weren't really we weren't really introducing other colors too. If you had your favorite, for me, I was a chestnut liner and an Oh Baby girl. So Oh
Okay.
Baby is very
I
similar
love
to Bubbly.
Yes, that Oh Baby was everything to me. But one of the reasons,
Everything.
honestly, why I stopped buying it was because I could not get what I wanted out of it, and it cost so much. And you
So
know how
much.
I am with losing my Bubbly. Like Bubbly is my favorite, and I will lose
Yes.
one and be like, I think at one time I had 3 open at one time because I found
Uh-huh.
one in my car, I had one in my bag, I had one in my laptop bag, I had found one in a bathroom. I was like, am I really
Right.
bad with lip gloss? But when I think about how I was even back then, I was bad with it. But I
Mhm.
feel like for as much as it costs, that there was no reason like for me not to get every penny that I paid for, to get out of that container. And I just love
That's
that
right.
that's something that, that you created, and that it works well with so many different brands, because it can also be used with makeup as well.
Oh, absolutely. So, if anybody watching has a moment to go and search up, if you go, it's funny, I'm using that term now. My grandson says, search it up. I'm going to go to Google and search it up. And
He's
I
so
never heard
sweet.
anybody say that. So
Yeah.
he's so sweet. But if you go to YouTube and you type in Nikki's Magic Wand plus QVC, you'll be able to see the appearances, and you will see me display or demonstrate on foundation, on
Okay.
eye cream. One of the things that people don't really think about, they think about tubes, but even pots of things like pots of eye cream where you screw the top off. A lot of times you don't want to stick your finger in that because, first of all, it's not as sanitary, but
Right.
also, too, you're going to end up getting it under your acrylics. You don't want that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you want something that you can use and get it out. And, the wand is wipeable, or buy a bunch. And
That's
then you
it.
have one
Because I
for
think, right, you say buy a bunch just in case. So, but I
a
think that
bunch.
it's something we've always said, I think that it's something that every makeup artist should have. Let me ask you this. You mentioned QVC.
Yeah.
What is one of the most rewarding opportunities, or yeah, I would say opportunities, that you had throughout this whole journey?
Oh man. I mean, that has to be the top one, right? And it came about through applying to their Sprout program, and that's basically up and coming companies and ideas. And I won that contest. You were put up against 2 other products. People voted. We won it, and what you won was a purchase order to sell on QVC.com.
Okay.
And so, yeah, and so after I sold out 3 times straight on QVC.com, then they said, "I think we want to put you on TV." And
I love
and
that.
that's
Like,
the
I
blessing.
think that is so, oh, I have to think that that is so amazing. Like, to even just be able to say, like, I have a friend who was on QVC, not twice,
Yes,
not 3 times.
yes,
Like, yes. And then on top of the fact that you created something that is like, you created something that is needed. But just the fact, like, before we even get to what is needed, you created something. Like,
right,
right.
right. Thank you. And I tell you, there was a lot of times when you're like, where is this money going to come from? Where's the next idea going to come from? Who is going to help me do this? Like, it's just, yeah, a lot went into it. Sometimes I look back, I'll be using my wand, right? I'll be using it on some Fenty foundation or one of my glosses. I'll be using it and I'll go, I really invented this thing. Like it'll just hit me like,
Yeah,
wait a
like
minute.
there's so many times that when I'm looking at certain things, and with you being a part of the takeover and me going through, because we are doing some serious research through
Yes.
this process, but then we're also going like through some of the pictures, and I'm just like so in awe of
Mm,
one, the fact that you created it, and we're also going to talk about your lip glosses and things, but watching you actually maneuver through the space. I seen you with some celebrities, and I'm like
mhm.
seeing you, and I'm like this is a big deal. This is not nothing that you just
Yeah.
create and put together and say, hey, like you were on QVC. You have been your wand has been in some serious hands.
Yes.
What
Yes.
made you decide to go into, like, because I know you had everything going as far as the wand go, you then introduced lip gloss. What was the
Yes.
mindset behind that?
Yes, that's a great question. So, introduced the wand at the end of 2012. So, basically, really kicking off 2013. So,
Mhm.
had a good 2 years with it, 13 and 14. 13 was when we won the competition with QVC. That was the focus then, getting the wand out there. And what ended up happening was, you start to see people using it. People are saying this is amazing. And quite frankly, just keeping it 100, um, I wanted something, first of all, to complement the wand, right? But
Yes.
also something, frankly, that you were going to run out of,
Yes.
eventually. But
Yeah.
you were still going to get more life out of it, right? Because of your wand.
Right.
But I have always loved lip gloss. Lip
Mhm.
gloss inspired the product. That was the product that inspired the invention was lip gloss.
Okay.
And I just wanted, once you have the wand, unless you're rough with it, unless you break it, you're gonna have it a while.
Okay.
And just as a business owner, I was like, what else? What else can I add that complements it? But also, you might want different shades. You might run out of this one. You need another. Just
Right.
try to keep the sales rolling. So
Yes.
yeah,
So it was more of like a decision when it comes to expanding the brand and thinking more so, like, because like you said, like one of the things I think that when it comes to small businesses is that we don't think long term. So I kind of feel like
that's right.
you were forward thinking and thinking that, okay, this is what it is. What is the lifespan of Nikki's Magic
Mhm.
Wand? How often will they need to buy one? And
Yeah.
let's now add something that's going to, like you said, that you'll have to buy
Hmm.
and keep that money going on. And I heard you
Yeah.
say that once you have it for a while. What's a while?
Yes.
Like, what's a while? Like how? Because I feel like
Yes.
I've had mine for a while. I've had mine, and I think I have a total of, I think I have three.
Hmm.
A total of three. And
Hmm.
I literally and we're in 2024, and I know I have not bought one, and I know that I got either one for a gift or like was in a gift package or something like that.
Hmm.
I literally just opened up probably about a year ago.
Yeah. Yeah. So you know what? People it will vary, right? So makeup artists are going to go through them a little more, right? Because I feel like just the use of them. They're getting their product out, they're putting it on the back of their hands. For me, I don't go through mine much, right? Because I may just use it. When I'm using it, I'm at the tail end of a foundation bottle. That might take me what? A couple months, right?
Right.
So then I go in with my wand. Same with my glosses. And because I'm someone who actually does wear different glosses often, they tend to last me a little bit longer
Right.
because I'm switching them in and out.
Right.
But that is something that you will help me figure out.
Absolutely.
How long, what's the standard amount of time that we should be saying, hey, how's your wand doing? Did you break it? You need another? But
Yeah.
yeah, some people have had them for less than a year. Some people have had them a couple years if they're not heavy makeup users.
Mhm.
Then but they're durable. That's a wonderful thing about them. They're not going to break on you. Um, and and so I'm very proud of that.
That is. And what's the price point for those? And that's another thing that I was actually surprised on the price point.
Yeah, so they're $12. And I tell you, it took us a minute even to decide, because they were $9.99 for, the first number of years. And then they're $12, but I tell you, they're they're going to save you that percentage you talked about of what's left. It's 15 to 20 are the stats of what's left in tubes and containers that get thrown away. And so it's going to pay for itself almost immediately, particularly. I mean, Tom Ford has a gloss that's $45. Like,
Yeah,
it's
and for
just
me, listen, and I feel like the wand, like I mentioned earlier, I feel like the wand should be in everybody's makeup bag. But when you're spending $45, I feel like all makeup, those companies that sell makeup, that they should automatically include Nikki's Magic Wand in there just for it to make sense. Because why am I
absolutely.
paying $45 for a lip? I have not seen a lip gloss that I needed to pay $45. What is it doing? I mean, and
Me neither.
I'm a creature of habit, so I love my bubbly.
Mhm. Yes,
Um,
yes, yes, yes.
and even when I try to go get my makeup done and they're putting something else on, I'm like, yeah, you could have just did my bubbly because I don't
Just
want
my
color.
bubbly. Yeah.
I went to the store yesterday and I was like, let me try some color. Wiped it off, put my bubbly, put my bubbly back
And
on. Like,
if anybody hasn't caught on yet, bubbly is her favorite color of Nikki's Magic Wine Gloss. So
yes,
that's
it's
what
like
that
one of
is.
the favorites. So let me ask you, what are some of the favorite colors that you had? What are some of the client faves outside of bubbly, right? Because I don't want y'all to go
Yes.
run it. I do want y'all to go buying bubbly, but save some for me.
Save some for you.
I know there are some other colors because bubbly has kind of like a clear, but just enough like glitter or like
Hmm.
for me that is just enough. And I
Yep.
got these
Just a
little
little
lips, so
shimmer.
yeah, just a little.
Hmm.
I mean, I
Yes.
got this little lip that people keep trying to put filler in. I'm like,
Leave me alone.
leave my little lip alone. Me and my bubbly
Leave my
doing
little
this.
lip alone. That's right. I
Yeah,
don't listen. I ain't working with a lot up here either. So we together.
right.
Um, yeah. So through the years, there have been such beautiful colors. So what I want people to be clear on too is I'm not in the kitchen mixing glosses up, right? So decided to private label the glosses because what that said to me was you've done the testing, you've done all of that. There's argan oil and there's vitamin oil in them. They're just really, really good. Oh, and in comparison to Oh Baby that we were all addicted to, they are not sticky. I remember turning my head because I used to wear my hair down,
Yep.
turning my head, and that my hair would stick to my lips like no. No,
Yep.
Nikki's Magic Wand is not going to do you like that. So we have a couple different categories. There's the gloss, the luxury gloss is what it's called, and that's what my Shauna wears. There's the matte, and so that's going to be full on color. It's going to dry down, and I'm told it's velvety. When I say I'm told, I wear it, but I might be partial. But other
Right.
people tell me
Absolutely.
it's velvety. It doesn't feel, like dry. And then there's liquid lipstick, which is sort of like kind of put you in the mind of if you had a tube of lipstick.
Okay.
All of them come with the wand, and that was by design. I don't really carry roll up tubes of lipstick because I'm always thinking about the wand. I'm always
Okay.
thinking about you being able to use the wand. So some of those colors, there's Carpe Venom, which is a deep red. It's a beautiful color. I've had some favorites that my supplier has flaked on me on, and I don't know who decided to tell them to discontinue them because um they sold very well for me. But things like iced wine and truffle and that's the thing through this process. We're going to work together on getting some of those popular shades back,
Yes.
because I want them back. I want to wear them. And I
Right.
know a lot of people were, keeping a close eye, like, Nicole, Nikki, when are they coming back? So we're gonna
People
work
are
on that.
definitely asking for, and they're like excited, like, hey, are you going to help her bring this back? I'm like, let's see what these favorites are. Let's get out with these favorites are because a lot of
Yes,
people are and I think that the colors that I've seen, and I'm not a color wearer, but that's
right.
because I have these little lips. But I see some of the color and I'm like, they are so bright and vibrant.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
it really brings another, like the women that I see, it seems like they're more confident with when they put
Yes.
that on. Like we were going through the photos and I'm like, oh, that color is popping. on her.
Yes, one of my favorite stories was a friend went, she had to go to court, like for her divorce. And she was very nervous. Yeah, and she was very nervous. And she told me after I put on it was one of my purples. It was one of the purples. And she said, I put on that purple and I strutted in that courtroom because it
Mhm.
just gave me that confidence. It gave me that assurance that I knew what I was talking about. I was going to be victorious that day. I
Okay.
felt like royalty. You good over there?
Yeah, I was looking for my pen because you said
Oh, okay.
something. I'm a note taker, but you said
Uh-huh.
confidence and strutted, and I'm thinking about the fact that we want to add that we're adding some stuff, and I'm thinking about these names.
Yes, 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 yes. Because we all about a good name now. Because we
All
used to
about a
have
good
some
name.
powerhouse. We used to have boss babe. We had all the good names. So
Yes.
yes, yeah. But
And
yes,
I
and
love
she no, I'm sorry. I was just going to
that.
say that touched me so much because it was something that I may not have even thought about that when I was putting that out, right? I'm like, oh, this purple, this is a good option. But when she said that gave her that confidence to strut in there, she knew that people would look at her and go, oh, she ain't to be played with. When you put on
Yep.
purple gloss in the middle of the day, you're not to be played with. So that made me smile. To this day, she told me that years ago. And that
And
just
I
made me
love
smile.
that story. And that's a story that I think that, look, we need to make sure we talk about that story because that is not I mean, I've never been through a divorce, but I can only imagine like how that would feel and walking into a space like that and being able to say, like, they say we put on capes. No, I put on Nikki's magic wand and I walked in
That's
and this is
right.
how I felt. But I do
That's
want to
right. Yeah. And she was very nervous. And she told me after I put on it was one of my purples. It was one of the purples. And she said, I put on that purple and I strutted in that courtroom because it
Mhm.
just gave me that confidence. It gave me that assurance that I knew what I was talking about. I was going to be victorious that day. I
Okay.
felt like royalty. You good over there?
Yeah, I was looking for my pen because you said
Oh,
something.
okay.
I'm a note taker, but you said
Uh-huh.
confidence and strutted, and I'm thinking about the fact that we want to add that we're adding some stuff, and I'm thinking about these names.
Yes, 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 yes. Because we all about a good name now. Because we
All
used to
about a
have
good
some
name.
powerhouse. We used to have boss babe. We had all the good names. So
Yes.
yes, yeah. But
And
yes,
I
and
love
she no, I'm sorry. I was just going to
that.
say that touched me so much because it was something that I may not have even thought about that when I was putting that out, right? I'm like, oh, this purple, this is a good option. But when she said that gave her that confidence to strut in there, she knew that people would look at her and go, oh, she ain't to be played with. When you put on
Yep.
purple gloss in the middle of the day, you're not to be played with. So that made me smile. To this day, she told me that years ago. And that
And
just
I
made me
love
smile.
that story. And that's a story that I think that, look, we need to make sure we talk about that story because that is not I mean, I've never been through a divorce, but I can only imagine like how that would feel and walking into a space like that and being able to say, like, they say we put on capes. No, I put on Nikki's magic wand and I walked in
That's
and this is
right.
how I felt. But I do
That's
want to
right.
backtrack a little bit because you mentioned doing the private label and we are
Yes.
now in 2024. And I think that when I'm dealing with small businesses, that a lot of times they want to start from scratch and do a lot of things from scratch. So I love that even back then you knew
Mm-hmm.
what it was that you wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally feel like I want to work with brands that not you in particular, but we working with corporations. I want to
Mm-hmm.
work with corporations that already have things in place, right?
Yep.
That's less work that I have to do. Do you think
Mm-hmm.
that there were some like what pros and what cons are there with dealing with private label? And did you
Yeah.
ever think about doing it, like actually?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And I really hadn't given it a lot of thought. But one thing that I am pretty adept at is knowing my strengths and
Mhm.
knowing my weaknesses.
Yep.
And what I said to myself was, and I'm a pretty cautious person. So I said, I'm not a chemist. I'm gonna get in here and mix up something, and somebody gonna call me up talking about their lips are 5 times bigger than they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I
I
said,
get it.
what we're not gonna do is go to jail over
Listen,
some lip gloss.
Right? And I'm so scary. I'm like, girl, anything that like you talking about calling the insurance company,
Listen,
the IRS, I don't want no parts.
I don't want. Listen, I like my freedom. I like my little money in the bank. I don't have time to mess
Right,
nobody up. And
right.
so, and that's the kind of thing that can just bring your entire brand down. So I just, for me, it was a no-brainer. I knew I wanted to add it. Also, too, I'm gonna be honest, like it took away, and I've seen some stuff from scratch that's phenomenal, like Chef's Kiss. So, labels, amazing, like packaging,
Yep.
fantastic. You and I personally know some people who just nail it
Right.
every time. Um, and I was just starting out in that space, and I had already created something from scratch, and I was like,
Right.
I don't know that I need to do something else from scratch when there's somebody in this space to do this. And the packaging was good, and the I like the even down to I like the way the lids snapped closed. I just it was because you get all the testers and you get all the samples, you try them yourself, you see how they feel and you see how they smell, because it's right under your nose.
Right.
So, and that was what I made that decision again, 2015, to say, no, we're going to get somebody else to do this and mix in all that good stuff.
We talked about some of your good times. Has there ever been a time that you were just like, yeah, you were at a low when it came to the space of Nikki's Magic Wand? And
Oh my gosh. Yeah, more like a lot. A lot, a lot. I want people to, me, I'm very transparent. And I want people to understand that it's one of the reasons I stopped watching Shark Tank, to be honest with you, because people would get on there, and I was addicted to Shark Tank, particularly when I was just starting out. And people would get on there talking about they made $1 million in 3 months. And I would feel like crap. You know what I mean? Because I was like, why are they so much smarter than me? Why don't I know how to do this? What am I doing wrong? And there were plenty of times, like we'd have, a good year where like, okay, appeared in Real Simple and all the orders flooded in, got on forever, 21.com, Anthropology, stuff was just popping, right? And then there would be times when we didn't know what to do. And so we did nothing because we didn't want to just throw money down the drain while we were trying to figure it out.
right.
I have had lots of stops and starts with this, quite
Okay.
frankly. One of the things that I think has been an impact, and it's not a regret of mine, it's just life, is that I've always had a 9 to 5 the entire time. So if there was some like I need to pour 100% of myself into this, I got to make calls at noon, at 1, at 2, at 3, and 4. I really couldn't do that. Right. So I
Right.
try to hire people to do it because, like you and I said, listen, if somebody can do it, let's pay them to do it. Um, and either they just, I mean, they all try their best. I think either they just weren't quite sure what direction to go in, or it wasn't the time for Nikki's Magic Wand at that time. So to answer long-winded answer to your question, absolutely, some serious lows to the point where I just sat it down. Like, well, we'll talk about that another time. Yeah, the website's still up, and if you order one, I'm gonna send it to you, but I probably won't even tell you they over there. I'm not really posting anything, and there's nothing on the social media,
I get it.
which is, yeah, which is why this is such a blessing.
But I personally feel like people see what is posted on social media and they think that that's them, and they don't see a lot of the stuff that goes on in the background. Like, remember, I used to always say that I would quit every Tuesday. Like, there
Yeah.
are literally days that it's like, I don't want to do this. And when you're in small business, you have to show up every day. How do you see now, with you being where you're at right now? Where would you like to see Nikki's Magic Wand go in the next 2 years?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of the things that I did determine in one of my starts a few years ago was I was asked that same question, and I was asked sort of how I wanted the breakdown of Nikki's Magic Wand to go. And what I realized, because when you first start out, like when we met, right? Well, I say I sold half a wand, girl, that little sad little situation.
Remember.
Yes, and just we're not naming no names, but we were at a vending event. and
Yeah.
it was unsuccessful. But it was
It
unsuccessful.
was unsuccessful, but we got to meet each other and build a lifelong friendship.
Yes.
So
So
that was
it
the
was
good thing that came out of that.
highly successful in
Yeah,
that way for
right.
sure. But we didn't sell a doggone thing.
Nothing.
Said so back then, anything. You want me in the church basement? Here I come.
I remember those.
You want me to start? Yeah, we were in church basements together too.
Yeah.
You want me to start selling wands outside of a talent show? Here I come.
Yeah.
And I just over time you decide what's going to be a good return on investment and what's not. So for me, my goal would be mostly wholesale. Like
Okay. Okay.
I'm fine to send you a wand if you want a wand. I'm fine to send you a gloss if you want a gloss. But overwhelmingly, I would say 70%. I'd like to be wholesale. I'd like to send out 50 at a time to Target. I'd like to send 50 at a time to Ulta, 500 at a time to Ulta. So that would be the next 2 years. I'd love to have more wholesale opportunities mixed in with absolutely, girl, let me get you your bubbly.
Absolutely. And I love that. I love that you have that goal to want to do that. Because the crazy part is a couple of years ago, I don't think you would have, I think even when we talked about it, you didn't even answer it in that way. So
Right.
to know that that there's something that you're striving for now, like I absolutely love it, because I just think that Nikki's Magic Wand, you know how I feel about it. I think that you're amazing.
Yes.
I think that the invention is dope. So,
Likewise.
and I do think that you're going to see it in some of those larger chains. Throughout this process, or with not just the process with the takeover, through your entrepreneur journey, what is something that you wish you would have known ahead of time?
So much more. I feel like that I wish I had known than I actually knew. One of the things that I think is so important, systems,
Mm.
tight systems, right? Whatever that is, how to track who bought what, when to reach back out to them, what their favorite color was, keeping track, letting them know it's been discontinued, but this one is comparable. That level of follow-up, I'll tell you what, a heartbreaking, oh, you might turn the camera off. You might shut the Zoom down. This woman told me through another person who the wands were in her boutique. And she said to this woman that I was working with, a rep that I was working with, she said, I would have bought way more wands from Nicole if she had just followed up.
And follow up is, you know how many of us, because I've done it in the past. Now I don't play that. Everybody
Yep.
getting an email for everything. If you buy
Yeah.
something, if you don't buy from me, I'm sending an email to hold on. But systems are so important, and there's so many things. And this is what people always talk about. Why I love Shopify so much. I'm a Shopify partner.
Yes.
A lot of their stuff is already in place. You just got to click the button and make it happen, right?
Yep. Yep.
When it comes to having a small business, and especially retail, follow-up is essential. Once somebody enters their email, they have now entered your zone. They're now a part of you. There's no reason you should not be selling to them nonstop. There's no reason for you not to be following up with them. Question them, ask them. I just sent out something the other day that was asking about birthdays, because I noticed that I had gotten a few more people that had signed up for the email list. Hey, what is your birthday? If they go and they put something in the cart and they don't purchase right away, they get like 4 or 5 emails after that reminding them about that.
Abandoned cart. Yeah.
Yes.
That's been that had the potential to be a game changer for me.
Yes.
And it was something that did not happen. And I know how powerful it would have been. Because listen, I have I've left stuff in carts, and here they come back with me. And look, they either offer me the 10% or they don't. And I still go, oh, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and get that. So I already know, because I do it. So I purchase. So that is something that I would tell anybody just starting out, tighten that up.
I think the abandoned cart, I think communication is huge with that. I think a lot of people don't have the customer journey. They don't even know what that looks like.
That's
And
right.
again, this is something that even if you just say, okay, I'm going to do this customer journey, and you can go into the back office, because I know your website is up under a different hosting. A lot of that stuff is already in there. And you might not even have noticed that I turned on your abandoned cart in your back office.
See,
But it's literally usually just like a click over, and and of course I love to customize it so that they feel like
yeah,
they're a part,
the message. Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
Once they're in there, once they're in your pipeline, now if you're having a sale, or if you're showing up somewhere, sending those messages, send those emails out. One of the this is actually, she's a part of the Takeover to Keisha with Zori Beads. She loves her text marketing. It's so like, I always laugh about it being a lazy marketing tactic, but you can literally set up text messages to just to go out, no matter what it is you're doing. And I do it from my phone. And the amount of money that I have yielded from that, I wasn't pushing that. But when I looked back to see what was purchased, we made a little, maybe about a little over $4,000 just with recurring clients. Me just saying, and that was just emails that were automatically, it's nothing that I had to go in there and do. It was them going in and looking at something in the email saying, hey, I seen you noticing this, or whatever. How about if you go ahead and bat it?
Yes.
I know we got a little bit off topic. What are some new things that you are considering bringing in throughout this process?
Yeah, so actually, inspired by this process, I just kind of want to take a look at all of um, my options out there. So I recently requested some samples from some other vendors. Going to take a look at those. But I will tell you, I did go and see what was now being offered at my current vendor. And there's some lip serums, which look interesting to me. There's some plumping gloss,
We need
which
some plump.
no, we need some plump. We need some plump. Both of us need a little plump.
Yeah.
Plumping gloss, and then the other three categories still: the luxury lip gloss, which is bubbly. Bubbly is one of them. The liquid matte and the liquid lipstick. So the serum, I'll tell you the reason why that caught my eye, because there has seemed to be a movement, and a couple other companies are doing this, where they're selling lip oils. And on TikTok, I'm sure you see them, and I believe that serum is kind of falling into that line of where we're giving pure moisture as opposed to just your traditional gloss.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, this is 5 full categories that could come out the gate blazing on nickismagicwand.com. And the good thing is, some of the colors that I've missed, that I miss from luxury lip gloss, are now similar ones are being offered in the plumping glosses and also in the lip serums. So, I do trust that company. I know the product. It's always done well. People love it. So that's what gives you a little bit of hesitation on trying other vendors. But
Absolutely.
I'm waiting on the samples to come, because I might fall in love with another vendor. And
So when are they coming? I'm excited about this.
yes, I was going to talk to you about it. And we'll get back on at some point and I'll show them to you. But they are probably due to come next week. I
Okay.
think they're going
So
to arrive next week.
we'll set up some time to go through there, because that will be the perfect time for us to kind of go over some of your updated strategy as well. And to show you that I think that is a good that when I talk about innovating and what you're bringing in new is the plump. So I'm glad that you mentioned that.
Yes.
I felt some type of way about this woman.
Of course.
About
why are you looking at me that strong like that? Why are you looking at me all in my mouth like that?
Right. So I ran up the street and got this plumper.
Yeah.
Child.
That's what she sent you.
No, I went up to Walgreens. So I said, well, what is she like? Because I don't want no needles in my lip.
No.
So I've been following a couple of girls that have the plumper, and I've noticed such a big difference in the women who are wearing the lip gloss, the plumpers. I'm like, oh, baby, I need to try it. And I was trying not to tell him, but apparently my lip is a lot smaller than what I thought it was, because he knows the difference. So I think that that's going to be amazing for you. And I think when it comes to innovating when it comes to innovate, what they say, innovate and move on, is what is next, right? Because you've been in the game for a long time. So adding
Yes.
lips are watching the different people that I see, the content creators that are doing the lip care routines and all of that, and then
Yep.
also the ones
Yep.
who are into the plump. I think that will definitely put you in an amazing space, especially with the fact that you created this magnificent creation, right? So I think that's going to
Yes.
be good. I'm super excited for that. So I can't wait to talk to you about that strategy. But accomplishment, or what would you like to accomplish throughout this whole process with the takeover? I know we've already got your website up. The momentum is there. I love watching the momentum.
Yes.
What is something that you would like to accomplish throughout this process?
You know what? And this is just as honest as I can be. I feel like because it sort of connects with your previous question about like downtimes, I really have been in a space where I just did not know what to do, and I keep mentioning this too, but it's real. I keep getting these taxes done, in April, and with no sales. So make that make sense.
Right.
So, but keep paying this accountant. And so, because again, remember, I'm staying out of jail. So Nikki's
That's
Magic
that
Wand ain't
part.
gonna put me
That
in the
part.
jail.
Yep.
Listen, so I say all that to say this opportunity has really given me the hope and the drive that I need to say, this is your baby. That's why I can never let it go, right? Because I really do truly believe God gave me the idea, could have given it to anybody, right?
Yes.
And could
Yes.
and I didn't have to have the resources to get it done, to get prototypes, manufacturers. I did, I could have. That stops a lot of people, right? That capital stops a lot of people. And so I feel like it's a disservice if I let it go. My goal, ultimate goal beyond the takeover, but I think the takeover is what will set me on that path, is, a wand in every single home. There's just no reason
But not
why it
have,
wouldn't be.
right,
Why it
right.
wouldn't be. And so I think for our time together, that strategy, that piece is where I have felt the most lost. And
Okay.
so if you say to me in these 90 days, these are the 15 things that you are going to do and you're going to rinse and repeat for the rest of 2025, and you are going to go forward, and then we're going to do, this is your plan of action, that will be worth its weight in gold for me.
Okay. Next, a question about the 9 to 5.
Yeah.
I didn't touch on that before, but one of the
Hmm.
reasons, because this is Meet the Founder, I want to ask the question about that because a lot of small businesses feel like they don't need to work, or
Yeah.
and not realizing how much you need financially when it comes to capital and all of that.
Hmm.
How do you feel like working your 9 to 5 has impacted the brand in itself? Like, do you think you
Hmm.
would have made it as far without working, or like, do you think it made a difference in how you could move?
So that's an excellent point, an excellent question. One of the things that I always just kind of like bristle at, cringe at, is when people say, "Oh, you're not a real entrepreneur if you still have a job." Stop it. Like, this can look all kinds of different ways. Now, earlier in this conversation, I fully admitted that I probably could have either gotten further, or and look, and that's a maybe. That's a maybe. Because I could have quit my job and been over here eating ramen, not doing anything, right? Like trying to figure out, still having the same confusion, and
Right,
still not doing the customer journey like I'm supposed to be doing. So
right,
it's not a guarantee. Here's what I truly think. My position in corporate America has provided me with the capital that
okay,
I've needed. I don't have any whole bunch of loans. I don't have, all of those kinds of things. I'm in good shape there. Um, and it's also given me a perspective that may be unique to someone else who's just exclusively doing entrepreneurship, right?
yeah,
Like, for me, the 9 to 5 stuff is the stuff I know, right? That's the stuff I know. The entrepreneurship is the creative piece, but I'm able to pull over some of that business knowledge, some of that knowledge of savings, what to put your money into, not to overspend because I'm running my own household based off of my 9 to 5, so it has really gone hand in hand, quite frankly. Um, I I'd like to think I'm a boss in the 9 to 5, and that confidence leaks over into the entrepreneurship piece. I
Yes.
think there's networking opportunities that I've had because of the 9 to 5, where, I'm able to talk about Nikki's Magic Wand if I'm asked. So,
It's good.
and the good thing is it's not anything secret. My job knows about it. You fill out this, code of conduct kind of thing. Yes, I have an outside, I own something outside of here. So it's not, it's not a secret. I don't abuse any time, but I think it's given me kind of that boss swagger, quite frankly, that has kind of leaked over into the entrepreneurship piece
Okay.
and the funds.
Yes, absolutely. See, I will say that there was a time that that's how I felt as a full-time entrepreneur,
Mhm.
that if somebody worked 9 to 5, that because they had
Yeah.
that backup, that they were not full-time. But as I got older and as I got more seasoned as an entrepreneur, it's like I realized even with some of the clients that I get, that sometimes you need that, right? So we have strategies where we have some people who want to continue to work, but then we have some strategies where they want to get out. And we had somebody that wanted to get out. And I'm like, well, our strategy doesn't include you quitting yet because we need that.
Yes. Yeah.
But also in that same token, I feel like when I was in corporate, I was either at a bank. Most of it, what I dealt with was financial, and I took a lot of those strengths and
Yeah.
implemented them into me being an entrepreneur, and it's made me that much better. And I
Yeah.
think that there are so many different ways for you to be a boss. And I no longer feel the way that I used to feel about people who work. And here's the thing, things have changed so much now too,
Yes.
that a lot of
Yes.
people are actually going back to work. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to remind a few clients that we are actually considered micro businesses, right? We're not even small. We're considered
Okay.
micro. When you start thinking about the amount of money that is coming, well, I'd probably be considered small now. But getting
Mm-hmm.
started, like we're considered micro. Why not utilize the resources that you have at hand in order
Yeah.
to level up? And I think that some people, especially within our community, feel like that in order for them to be successful, they have to have these brick and mortars, but they're not
Mm-hmm.
prepared or they don't properly plan for that. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm blessed that I have the knowledge and expertise that I have so that I can now share that and help people get through that and get through that fear of being like, oh, I work a 9 to 5. That don't mean nothing. Like you could still do
Right.
exactly what you need to do in order to be successful and whatever that looks like for you. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And don't get me wrong, like when I see people, in your space and, our close friends, right, who don't have 9 to 5s, who are working their businesses full time, absolutely. I feel like, oh man, I'm not a jealous person, so jealousy wouldn't be the word for it, but really admire the flexibility
yes.
that I would love,
Yep.
right? But here's one thing that I'd like to tell people who are kind of on that line. You really have to know your personality, right?
Yep.
So for me, my personality is I would be a shaking mess in a corner, turning the light on and off with before this situation, with the lack of knowledge that I felt I had, trying to eat off of a $12 wand
Yep. Yep.
and try to put my kids in college, try to do that, to pay bills. Like, I know my personality, and so I personally need that 15th and the 30th to come on through with that check, so that I know that's good. We're good there.
Mm-hmm.
Now
Mm-hmm.
I can talk to Shauna about what we might need to do over here, you
Right.
know?
Right.
And you got to know that about yourself. You got
And
to
you
know
too.
sometimes, yeah, sometimes not having that cushion is what drives you harder. For me, it just seemed terrifying. So
Right.
I
Right.
had to know that about myself.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a good point though, because I think I know for me, girl, the way I would walk away from a job was like nothing. But I also knew I laugh about the one time when I'll never forget, I had a job where they wanted me to train
Hmm.
the person who was taking my spot.
Why do they do that?
Not to me, Y'all
Yeah.
got the wrong one. Girl, I walked out of there and went home and had 3 heads to do by the time I sent out like, hey, who want their hair done? And I had made the
Yep.
money for the next 2 days doing that. So it's like,
Yep.
again, you have to know yourself. And I have 2 different daughters, right? China's one way. Diamond probably would have did the same exact thing that I did. China would
Sure.
have done it.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Right?
Right. She would have tried. Yeah. She would have done it. And that's the thing. It's about personality, but also
Yep.
too that I think sometimes people miss is, and I've said this. I've actually said this in a few interviews. Like, I'm good at what I do at
Mm-hmm.
the 9 to 5. You
Yep.
know what I mean? Like, there's still stuff for me to do. I have people who report to me. I enjoy coaching them. I enjoy being their manager. I enjoy it. And I feel like if you feel like that, and that's all a part of me, right? Yes, Nikki of Nikki's Magic Wand. Yes, absolutely. But then there's Nicole Lewis, then
Mm-hmm.
it's senior VP. And that's not tooting any horns. That's just saying all aspects, they're all pieces of me.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to abandon until, I
And
mean,
this was a good reason. But here's the thing, there's pros and cons to both. And I think
yes.
that if I had, not that I would work a 9 to 5, but I think the way that I look at it now, when I think about resources, when I think about networking and think like that's definitely a plus.
Yeah.
Like when I think about going back into, like, if I would be even looking, when I took the year off, I was like, maybe I'll go and get a job. But every job
Mhm.
that I wanted to go for, it was like, how is this going to benefit me? How would this benefit those who I am in contact with? How is it going to benefit these small businesses that I
Yeah.
touch? So I was looking for jobs that, like at the SBA, and things like that,
Yes.
help
Yeah.
monetize. So it's like, again, but this is not the same Sean. That ain't how I felt 5 years ago,
Exactly.
right?
Yep.
So it was like me go work 9 to 5. I'm too used to getting up and doing this and doing that. So
Yes. Yes.
so maybe that
Yeah.
comes with a level of maturity too, but I definitely look at it differently. So I appreciate your feedback,
Sure.
view on that,
Yeah.
because we definitely have our circle. Our
Yeah.
circle, we kind of free, and so it's like those perspectives are a
Absolutely.
little, yeah.
Yeah, because let me tell y'all. So we got this circle, right? And it's just on a random Tuesday, somebody will say at 11 o'clock, let's go get our feet massaged. And I'll be like, because I'm down at the daggone building.
Let's do this at 1 o'clock. Like, yeah. And that's the part. But again, that's one of those things that I enjoy that. But like, so here's the funny story. Yesterday, long time, first time in a long time, I went and did some retail therapy. Girl, I don't know what made me go out and spend all this money, but I had a good time. You hear me? Not for
Yeah.
Christmas, not for nothing, but just to go out. And as I am in line, I'm sending out the girl I was with, she's like, what you doing, about to make back the money that I just spent? And we laughed so hard. The
Uh-huh.
cashier laughed, because it's
Yep.
like that mindset was like, oh my goodness, I spent all this money. Now I know that I can go home and do this and get a client
Yep.
and make that money back and all that. So it's like
Yep.
that, but it's a mindset, it's a feeling, it's knowing yourself, because
100%.
and if you don't have that, like, or whichever one that you have, you just got
Yeah.
to make sure that you work it properly. And I think that what happens is some people get caught up in both, and they don't know
Mm-hmm.
how to utilize each one so that it makes the best, so that they're making the best decision for themselves. Don't, or anything like that. So definitely don't look at, one of the advice that I would give people is not to look at people and what it is that they're, because you don't know what their backstory is.
No, it's not. That's 100% right. And so and my husband, he has a 9 to 5, but he also is a very popular DJ. And so, he's very picky about where he spends his time, what he does, what kind of job he takes. He don't want to play this trap. He don't want to do that.
Yep,
And
I
I mess
get
with him. I tease him about it because there's like some new stuff I like, and he's like, no, he's just like a little grumpy old man. But
yeah, I think they all at that age where they turn into crack. And I'm like, why are you so
yeah,
sad?
he's so grumpy. Yes, but you know what though? And we both got young husbands, so don't let you think we married the 80-year
Right.
old. But no, but I do learn a lot from him though, because he is very particular about his time. And he's very particular about that check. And so He don't do a lot of wiggle room on that price, on that fee. And there's a lot to be said there. And men in corporate America are like that. They don't, okay, well, we'll go into an interview and, oh, it pays 60 to 70. I'll take the 60. They're like, well, how about the 80? Where's the 80?
Yep.
So, there's so much to learn from these relationships and from what other people are doing with their time. And now as we get older, yeah, I mean, if my job came to me right now, to be quite frank, if they came to me right now and said, we'll double your salary, but you need to work all day and all night, and I go, I'm cool. No thanks. I mean, like it's just not, my time. And
Time is
that's what,
valuable. Yeah, time is
yeah.
valuable, and I learned that.
Yeah.
Or I definitely learned that early on. And one of the first things that I do with my clients who sign on is I make them do a time management schedule. Time
Mm-hmm.
management is huge. Boundaries are huge. I had a
Mm-hmm.
client that reached out to me on a Saturday evening. It was like Saturday early evening, and I didn't respond back to her Monday. And she had fired off about 5 emails. I asked her if she was okay because you clearly didn't read. Then we no longer work together because I don't think that we're a good fit. Because if you have a problem with me having boundaries on Saturdays and Sundays for my husband or for my family, then we're not going to be a good fit because I'm gonna tell you to do the same thing. I need you to take a day off. I can't have you like to me, I don't feel like we were here to hustle in that manner. And
No.
I think that we get set up, we get caught up in those that mindset that we have to constantly be doing something. If you put the boundaries in place the way you said, if you know who your audience is, you can still work and make good money
Mm-hmm.
without being in that mindset and being tired. Because to me, being tired and having money ain't fun to me.
No, and it's like the people that where we might go get our nails done, and they in there 7 days a week. When you spending this money
Yep.
for what? Why are you in
Yeah.
here so much?
Yep.
And it's an excellent point. Nothing's more important than my time, and I'll tell you what. People get very confused about entrepreneurship, and they one or two things. They think they got to work all day and all night, a
Yep.
mistake, or they think they're going to work less than 9 to 5, also a mistake. There's neither one is really true. You'll figure that out, but it goes back to those systems that we talked about.
Yep.
If your systems are tight, abandoned cart, all of that working automatically, that's going out and getting your money
One,
without you going out and getting your money. And so
absolutely.
it's supposed to save time, save money, and those are the things we all need to be learning and doing more of.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And especially in with this new climate that we're getting ready to step into, I think that people really need to consider all of those, especially when that working, what do they say? Working smarter, not harder.
Mm-hmm.
I've been saying that for the last 2 years. Especially
Mm-hmm.
after being down here by myself, it was like one of those things that what is it that I can do to make the most money with doing the least amount, with having the least amount of time. Like I said, like all day yesterday, I was off. I
Yep.
take Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday off. I was off all day yesterday, but I definitely had some things that came through, whether it's through the ebooks that I have on my website or, somebody's buying from the store, but I was out enjoying myself, or I'm
Mm-hmm.
sitting here doing nothing, or I can sit here and do
Right.
whatever, but I definitely cut off at a certain time. Like I said, I think that hustle mindset I think is draining.
Yeah.
I
We're
don't,
done with that.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
and it could be that, I'll be 50 next month. And it's just like, I just don't want to work that hard. Like I want to
Wow.
enjoy life, but still be able to get the type of money that, I've been making. And one of the easiest ways to do that, like you said, is to make sure that you have those systems and processes in place.
Mm-hmm.
We're definitely going to make sure that we get all of your emails going and making
Yes.
sure that first of all, we're going to drive people to the website, and then we're going to make sure
Yes.
people buy. So you might not buy the first day, but you might not buy the second day, but by the third time, you're gonna want to click that button. Um,
That's it. And
so
get you something. We're gonna get you some new product on that site too.
yes, absolutely. So we got a couple more questions and then we can be done. What legacy do you want Nikki's Magic Wand to leave in the industry?
Mm. So, um, I want people to know that a lot went into creating a product for you.
Mm-hmm.
That I thought about uh, how this would save you money. I thought about how this would make your life better. And, it's not a frivolous thing. It is, we hear those things in entrepreneurship, like, the best products are the ones that solve a problem.
Mm-hmm.
This one solves a problem, and I want people to know that I was very thoughtful about solving that problem for you. It was not to get rich, at least not initially.
Right.
That can certainly be a goal, but it really wasn't. It really was about this is frustrating me, so I'm assuming it's frustrating a lot of people.
Right.
And so that's the legacy. And you know what? I like being a Black female inventor.
Yeah, that's huge. I freaking love that. I think one of when we first started doing your social media, and we haven't scheduled all of your stuff out, but I know we wanted to make sure we got the intro out and that we mentioned your birthday and all of that. But
Mhm.
one of the first one I said, this Black woman invented this. Like,
Yes.
and one of the ladies who I do PR, that I'm in that PR space, and
Mhm.
she reached out and she was like, I am so upset that I didn't see this sooner, because she does this retail Black business thing, but
Mm.
Walmart. And I said, I love this, like, thank you. I said, but honestly, that's not her audience for me. Um,
Mhm.
but if you get into this, definitely let me know. So we were like kind of going back and forth about that. And I'm like, get a contact into Sephora, and I'm sending her right over there, right? But she does
Mhm.
like these other ones, and it's just like, I feel like, again, the space that we're in,
Mhm.
Black women are amazing. Black women are dope. This Black dope ass, woman created
92%,
this,
92%, 92%.
created this wand for us.
Yeah.
I feel like it should be in all of ours. So we are going to push that narrative and go hard so that with that, like, and I'm like,
Yeah.
somebody were like, well, one of the team members was like, well, do you think we should put Black on it? We absolutely are.
This is the time.
Let-
This is the this is right here. This is the time.
I said, if you didn't, I looked at, and girl, it was a man. I was like,
Yeah, this is the
you don't want
time.
to be on a Zoom with all of us Black women and asking that question.
And no, you don't. And no, you don't. This is
So
very
yeah,
much the time.
yep. So this strategy is that. So my last question is, what advice would you give other aspiring entrepreneurs, especially those who want to event something? What advice would you give them to get started
Mhm.
in this process?
So there's so much that we could probably talk a whole nother hour about that. But what I will say in my couple minutes left is people get very, very nervous about not having that capital in the beginning. And I'd like to say, and you said a word that I'm going to repeat, that people can do at the very beginning, and that's research.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to cost you anything.
Mm-hmm.
You get out there, whatever your idea is for, you're going to look at your potential competitors. You're going to look at what they do well, what they don't do well, what you could change, what makes you different. One of the things that I think about when I get as other wands started to crop up, I was like, yeah, but they're not me though.
Mm-mm.
And they're not, and so I think about the Swiffer. How many, I don't know why I chose Swiffer for this, but how many of those kinds of things are out
Yep.
there, right? The thing this picks up and that picks up and that does dirt and that, but they're all essentially the same. But guess what? They're all selling. We
Oh,
all buy them.
yep.
You might like this one, I might like that one. So I would say you will have to save some money. You will have to, get your money together. But your very first thing is to do
Research.
that research. A lot of times I did a questionnaire and just went around asking my friends, like, how much would you pay for this? Is
Absolutely.
this a problem for you? Because if it's only a problem for you, you're not going to sell very many. Like if it's only a problem for you with the idea, you're not going to sell very many.
Yep.
Ask people if it's a problem for them. That's not going to cost you anything.
Yep.
So, at least not on a small scale when you're asking friends and family. Now, when you want to engage another organization to do that for you, then that's one thing.
Okay.
But um, I I say, if this is going to be your baby, you gotta be dedicated to it, because there are going to be those highs and lows. There are going to be those times when you want to sit it down. Like Shauna said, we over here quitting every Tuesday,
Yep.
but you you have to pick it back up
Yes.
because it's yours, and you have to have that dedication to it. So
Okay.
that's my answer to that.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I know you have to
Yes.
go. I
Thank
enjoyed
you.
having this chat with you and meeting the founder with Nikki
Yes.
Narvaez-Lewis from Nikki's
Yes.
Magic Wand. If you want to go ahead and grab you a wand or some of that amazing bubbly, you can go to nickismagicwand.com. I'm actually going to
Yes.
link that below. And if you love this content, make sure that you follow and subscribe to us so that you can watch her journey throughout these next 90 days. Thank you guys so much for
Yes.
watching.
Watch my journey and order, and I'll send you a handwritten thank you card. It will be my handwriting. So
Yeah.
go ahead and do that.
All right. Well, thank
Bye.
you.